Okay. So, good evening, everyone. We are yet again with another topic today, and this topic again is something that came up yesterday during the conversation. Just for people who don't know what this forum is about, it's basically what I say, jhatpat fatafat, just like how the life flows. You know, things happen in our life, and we think we can plan. This whole challenge was taken up for 15 days, which is now extended for 29 days. Today's the 29th day, and we have not informed our speakers about what the challenge is about, what is the topic about. All they say is yes, as they say yes to life. They come here and they talk candid without a preparation. Now, why is that important? I've often seen that we spend so much of our time planning things that we don't do things. So I thought about how about doing things and then planning it. Very grateful today. We have three speakers right now, Nidika Behel, Sumita Mendirata, and Gopu sir. And I'm really, really grateful because you guys are the backbone of what this continues to be. And you know what? I feel very belonged. Why? Because I just asked my friends, will you be there? And then put an intention out there to the universe because it feels so nice to see them there. And when they are there, it kind of feels that my heart feels warm. The setting has been changed, Sumita. Just go and have a look. Let's start with Sumita Mendirata. If you can introduce who you are, Sumita, and how would you look at the topic which we are discussing today, that is milestones and identity. What do I mean by this? Yesterday during the talk, I felt that we were playing various roles in not only our life, but other people's lives. And suddenly it felt as if, the whole talk got divided into our parents being there, we being children, then our parents being there, and somewhere where we are creating children, and then somewhere, oh, our parents are not there, old age, and then bye bye, Tata. This seems to be our lifespan, and we're trying to plan out a better lifespan for ourselves. Somewhere it felt very spiritual that we were looking at the whole spectrum right from childhood to old age and then leaving this planet Earth. Now, these are various milestones in our life. And can we keep the same identity going during these milestones? Or is this something that we need to alter, change in our head, change about ourselves? So, starting with Sumita, if you can introduce yourself and if you can relate to this topic and put some light on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Hi, everyone on Facebook and on the platform. So, I'm Sumita Mendirata. I'm a consultant clinical psychologist and counselor, a remedial tutor, and also a mental health coach using different modalities like matrix reimprinting, emotional freedom technique, and also a facilitator for brain gym. So definitely, Anu, milestone and identity is quite connected, which is like it's a I would say a personal experience for every human being because we all cross through the milestones. And actually, me being a remedial tutor and a counselor since the time I've started working with children, the first question I ask to the parents is, have the child had the milestones? Are the milestones covered? So as the child is growing up, we are really looking for all those milestones of talking, walking, age at which the child start speaking. So these are real important milestones. And what milestones we are looking here, I would say, is those major, when we were just a child, just having that fun and freedom, and I mean no worries, no nothing. You are just in your present. You don't really know about the future, and the past is too small for you to, you don't remember because you were too small. So I believe childhood is the best phase of your milestone, what you have. And as you grow up, now the teenager has become a really challenging milestone for a lot of people. So today morning only I got a very panicky call from my friend. My son is doing this on like he's watching something like a porn, and what do I do? She was like totally taken aback, and it was really difficult. I said, it's okay, first you calm down, because probably you have never seen, so probably you are, reacting like this. And she was like, how can you talk like this? I said, you just relax. So I think that's a very, teenager has become a most challenging milestone. And the third would be, as you grow up and you become an adult, and you get into that responsibility phase, then comes the marriage, which is, I would say, the most important milestone for all those who are getting married, crossed over. Then the next would be when you become a parent, if you choose to become a parent. So that is very important. I would say a changeover more than a milestone. And then gradually when you come to a age of 40 plus, and you really celebrate your 40th birthday with a blast, and then you realize, oh, there are a lot of changes happening within me and outside me. So how are these changing? And then finally you come to a stage of what we call as old age. So these are really different milestones. And I would say identity change is happening. Somewhere you're not aware about that identity change. It's just happening naturally. And somewhere you become really conscious about it, like in the phase of marriage, or when you're coming into a different, becoming a parent. Now we are becoming more aware and conscious about those identities. And we really want to, do it in a better manner. So probably I would say awareness is coming, that people are understanding that these are the milestones where we need to work on. And definitely identity change is happening. That is nothing to be thought about. So that is my contribution. Thank you.
So much. Sumita, let's go to Nidika Behel. Nidika, if you can introduce to people who you are, what you do, and you're here for the first time. And a little bit of a joke, I called her up and said, you have to be here. And she said, पर मेरी तो appointment और fixed है. मैंने कहा मैंने तो intention डाल दी God से कि आप. So I'm so grateful that God kept promise with him, and she's here. It's lovely to have you on this forum. So the question goes in the same way after you've introduced yourself. That is, what do you think about these three? Are they really milestones or are they changeovers? Is there something typically happening in during that childhood, puberty, and then the old age? And why is it that one part is given more significance, like you're taken to the pediatrician and picked up on your milestones, but suddenly something happens and nobody's really looking at your milestones and looking at whether you're fitting in or not. And there's a lot happening there. So over to Nidika. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Anu, first of all, for having me on this wonderful platform. I love the fact that we don't know what we're talking about and we're just going extempore. And I think that's where the real conversation actually happens. And I loved what Sumita already shared. I think she's hit the nail, so to say. Just to introduce myself to the people who are watching, first of all, lots of love to each one of you. I'm Nidika Behel. I'm an international best-selling author and a success coach, also a spiritual life coach and a holistic healer. And there are plenty of modalities I work with, but I will stick to the topic that we are at. And I have something very interesting to share. That I think each one of see change is inevitable. So to say that we are stuck with a certain identity, it's never going to happen, because we are all born with a lot of life lessons to be learned, spiritual lessons to be learned, ancestral baggages that we are clearing through our birth and lifetime. So there is so much going on that change has to happen. Now, of course, Sumita mentioned all the different phases, and she's absolutely right about, where, especially the teenagers, when she said, that about porn. I mean, I do have a client as well. And a lot of children come, where the parents want them still to be babies, but they're growing and they want to have their own identity. So a clash happens. But my personal favorite and the area in which I work is midlife crisis. I think between, earlier they used to say anything between 35 to 45. I think आज तो midlife crisis 27 में ही हो जाता है लोगों को, बहुत जल्दी हो जाता है. When they start questioning life, कि why am I here? What am I doing? What is my purpose? What is my sole purpose? A lot of questions like these people have in their mind. And when they are seeking answers to that, a huge shift in their careers can happen, in the way they approach their relationships can happen, the way they look at life can happen. A lot of things can happen around that time. And that is normally the area where I like to work, because I know people are lost. They have been used to being a certain X person, and suddenly that X person's belief systems, compensations, nothing is working for them anymore, and they have to now become a Y person, but they don't even know if they want to be a Y or a Z. So there is so much confusion there. That's the part that I personally like to work on and get people clarity as to where they want to take their life ahead from there.
Wow. I mean, that's going to be so beneficial for today's talk. The experience that you have. And something that you said really caught my attention. And today morning, I was talking to someone, and he said, I didn't take my wife so seriously.
Hmm.
I didn't take my life so seriously, and I didn't even take my wife so seriously.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, I get
And
that. Anu, for me, like, I think the midlife crisis hit for me when I lost my father. I was very emotionally attached to him. And, when he passed on, I saw him working all his life, struggling really hard for that one day when he would travel the world, paint, and do sculpting. And then he passed on without doing any of these things. And the question in my mind was, is this what life is all about? That you're living from one responsibility to another? He was the best father anyone could have asked for. He was like always providing, always looking after his children. But I felt that he missed out on his life. He died with music inside his heart. And I never wanted that to happen to me. So that's where my journey of, so to say, midlife crisis and questioning began. Ki, मैं कर क्या रही हूँ? Is this what I really want to do? Or am I just living up to other people's expectations? You know?
wow, wow. So something on the lines that you're talking, this man had massive fight with his wife. He goes to Maldives, and he's always angry with his wife, always angry with his life and wife. And COVID didn't do anything good to him because the restaurants closed down, and he
Right.
is the Malik of restaurants. So he goes to the Maldives, and he is on his doing the water sports, and he's in the middle of the sea, and the vehicle on which he is turns upside down. Those 30 seconds, in those 30 seconds, he said, I had visions of only few people: my wife,
Mm.
my children, and my family. That's his mom and dad. I want to change my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it really caught my attention. So let's
Yeah.
go
I
over
get
to,
goosebumps while you share that.
yes, let's go over to Gopu sir. Gopu sir, you know exactly what we're talking about right now, various stages of life, and you're one person who probably has seen a lot of life. And I know you, and we've covered you in the inspirational talk before, so I know there is a lot of life that you saw. So can you just go over it and see, can did your life also kind of alter with all these different stages? Was there something specific that happened? If you can put it across for us. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Anu. Uh, Before I start, I wanted to ask Nidhika something. Can I?
Sure,
Please go ahead.
sure.
Are you Hansrat Bailji's uh, daughter?
No, Avtar Singh Bahl.
Because you said your father had music in him.
Yeah, no, no, no. His name was Avtar Singh Bahl, and he was into real estate, but
Okay.
very, very good with creative things, So he used to paint, he used to sculpt, and yeah.
Thank you for that. So my name is Gopu Raman. I am a strategic consultant. I am a coach and a mentor. I help companies scale up. I help startups, and I mentor the founders of startups. And I also help large size companies to put up new projects. So that's my core competence. As far as this topic today is concerned, it's very interesting because it is defined in the Shastras about various stages of life. So there is Balashram, there is Brahmacharya Ashram, there is Grihasthashram, and after that you enter the Vruddhashram and then Vanaprasthashram. So there are five different stages of life. But in today's stressful conditions, and life is so stressful that I don't think people pass all these five stages. It is so difficult. If you get through Grace Rashtam itself, it's a big thing, I would say. So, by the time you become 60 or 70 or 75, you have other goals, you have other interests. And if God willing, your health is good, and you are spiritually inclined, then you go to the Vanaprasthasam, which is very rare for common people like us. So only a Kanchi Paramacharya or somebody like that, or a Ramana Maharshi will get into that. So this is a rare thing. But Having said that, every stage has got identity. Like Sumita also mentioned, when you are a child, there is an identity. When you enter your brahmachari or after 18 and before your marriage, that 7 or 10 years, whatever it is, that's another identity. That's when you're building your, you're doing your studies, you're building your career, and after that you enter into a good, nice marriage, and then you build up your family and build up your wealth, your career, so and so, and then finally you enter the vridhashram or kind of old age, what they call. I don't want to call it retirement age because I don't believe in retirement. You can work till the day you die, honestly. And then, of course, vanaprasthasam is always very, very rare in common people. Only a spiritually enlightened person can reach that level. So this is my take on this thing. And in every stage, there is an identity for that person, for every soul on this earth.
Thank you so
Thank
much for thank you so much for that. In my view, and where I look at life, I often feel that children are more spiritual than when we become old. And then we become spiritual and attain something. They come as a spiritual being, and somewhere they learn not to be spiritual, and then they relearn to be spiritual again. And most of us can't unlearn what we learned during that whole process. We lose it. We don't remain and don't be spontaneous anymore. We want to plan out everything. We want to have the details fixed. We want to have our hair perfect. We want to be a perfect in our diction. We want to be absolutely flawless, and yet life is so full of flaws. So, my question to Nidhika here would be, when we come spiritual, why are we not living as spiritual beings? Why are we crossing through these 5 stages? And what is so important that we have to cross through these 5 stages before we ultimately call ourselves maybe never spiritual and maybe sometimes spiritual? Over to Nidhika.
So thank you, Anu, for that question. So I think we are spiritual beings any which ways, whether or not we are learning our lessons. It may appear that we are not spiritual, but we are spiritual at all times. All of us, when we are born with a mission to grow our souls. That's what the whole journey of taking birth is all about. अगर growth नहीं आनी होती तो फिर ऊपर ही रहते, why would we even take birth? So the fact we've taken birth is because we are meant to learn something. Now learning के लिए ups भी आएंगे, downs भी आएंगे, challenges भी आएंगे. We'll have to go through life, we'll have to go through the grind to reach the other side, जहाँ पे हम बोल सके कि हाँ, I have arrived and I have learned some lessons in this lifetime. So in across all those lessons we are spiritual, because as I believe that God resides in each one of us. So there is no reason, we are part of source, so we have to be connected to God, so we are spiritual. It's just that sometimes to take our journey to the next level, we have life lessons. So for example, what could these be? It could be maybe somebody is carrying a issue with poverty and they are here to resolve that. Maybe somebody is carrying an issue with excessive possessiveness and they're here to resolve that, so they'll have a journey about that. Maybe somebody is born with an issue where they feel that they don't belong to the tribe, to the people around, and they have to process that. Now these issues are not necessarily our own issues. Sometimes they are also solving issues of our ancestors. So like how epigenetics has scientifically proven that whatever happens in any generation impacts 7 generations behind and 7 generations ahead. So not necessarily a person is born with challenges, or born with anxiety issues, or born with physical ailments because they have caused it to themselves. Many times we are carrying it for our ancestors and working on that in this, through our ancestral pool, working on it in this lifetime and clearing the energies both in both directions, forward and backward. So again, I hope that answers your question, Anu, as to
It
why
does. I
we
mean,
go through the grind.
why we go through what we go through, because we are never alone. Basically, we are representing so many souls, and we
Yes,
think we're there, but we have, I don't know how many generations standing behind us that
yes,
we know are visible, and I don't know how many generations are going to be impacted by us. And that's a very that's a point very well put, because if it was just our journey, then we could have done whatever we wanted to do. But we come on this
right.
planet Earth because it's not just our journey. Brilliantly said. And brilliantly put across, Nidhika. Let's go to
Thank you.
Gopu sir. Gopu sir, what would you say for the same thing? Like we're talking about generations right now. Have you had any experience in your life where you felt that yes, यार वाकई मैं किसी जनरेशन को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ, वाकई आई एम रिप्रेजेंटिंग समवन हु इज प्रॉब्ली मिसिंग इन माय हाउस, or I'm doing something that really I feel my way of being is impacting my son maybe, or has a possibility of impacting someone six generations ahead of me. So do you have you experienced anything like that? Thank you.
Yeah, Anu, since you know a lot about my personal life, I would say I'm following a Guruji who has told me that there are, when your previous Janmas are there and there have been some mishaps which happened there, and there have been carried forward sins which are affecting your current life. So that's definitely there. I believe in that. If you believe in rebirth, then you have to believe in karma, and also in what you're doing, and what are the past karmas or past misdeeds of your ancestors. You got to believe in that. Then probably you will be able to be satisfied or convinced that this is why I am going through this in this janam. You know. तो जरूर इसमें 7 जन्मों का रिश्ता जो बोलते हैं, 7 जन्म नहीं होता है, अपने को पता भी नहीं कितने जन्म होंगे. By the time our soul will get freed up, because that is called moksha. In Shastra, it is called moksha. To attain moksha is the ultimate, for which nobody knows how many janams you have to take. So every janam, if you keep doing good deeds and then progress that way in multiple janams, maybe at the end of 15, 20 or 100 janams, you will attain moksha. That is the way it is defined in the shastras. That is the law of nature, and that is how it is working. Is something I believe in. I mean, there could be differences of opinion with the people watching this show right now, but the point is, you got to be convinced about something to believe in it. If you're not convinced, you won't believe what you're going through. So definitely, the purva janma karmas have an impact on your current life, which you're going through. I believe in.
Wow,
Thank
I
you.
just as if today the flow is moving from one question to another rather than me giving you the same question. So, Sumita, very interestingly, Gopu sir said, uh, "हम कुछ अच्छा करते हैं, कुछ खराब करते हैं," which is going to impact our generations. Or he said, maybe in my past life I didn't do something the way it should have been, which has impacted me. um, so what would you say is good and bad? Because it's such a big story over there. What do you think is good and bad? And again, going back to not losing the sight of what we were discussing, that's in different time zones or in different stages of our life. What do you think is that you at personal level would like to do good and bad, good as well as bad? Because the bad also has a reason, and so it's there. So could you throw some light on that? Thank you.
So Anu, the good bad story is like positive negative, and for me, I always, since the time I have got some awareness from my studies, I was also caught up in this good bad story, and like what is positive, be good, do good. So definitely good is good, but I don't know bad is how much bad and how much good, because that's a very personal perspective. What I have understood now, you know. So now I can tell to many people that don't tell your children just better be a good boy, be a good girl, because what is good for you is good for other person. The definition of good is entirely different. So be specific. What exactly are you wanting? Good is a very big spectrum, and like it's like asking your child from this when the child comes from school, and the general question, the first question, how was your school? Now, how was your school was like very big question. So why are we not specific? So even if whatever we are wanting in terms of good or bad, I think if we can be specific and connect to that action, because I believe if I'm doing an action, which is probably bad according to people also, or maybe me also, I don't become bad. It is that one action which I've done bad, so my personality and action is different. So somewhere you have to disconnect yourself also from that action. I don't become bad. It is my action which I did. If I shouted on somebody, if I hit somebody, that action is bad. But we don't see that. We see the totality, and we claim that person is bad, or that person is like, that child is bad. So I take it like that way. If something is happening according to my terminology bad, I go to the reason. I dissociate the person or the situation from that action, because I understand that there is something which is making that person do that. So definitely, for some people it sounds very philosophical that, you can't go into so much detailing of being bad. Bad is bad. So, like, it's very difficult to convince people, but that's my perspective. And it has always been, since the time, I have actually come to psychology, I would say, thanks to psychology, because a lot of people have questioned me this, what did it interest you and how did you get into it? So, probably my own life story, since the time I was, somewhere not believed in, and somewhere I was convincing people that, hello, I have this problem, and people were not able to connect. So they connected me that, like I have discussed on this platform also my story that, I had this problem, and they were like connecting the pain of the stomach, for a ninth year, like ninth or 10th standard girl, to the whole personality of that girl, saying no, she's telling a lie. So they made me a liar. I couldn't take that. On one hand, I'm struggling with my pain, and on one hand, people are, I mean, doctors are saying no, she's just making a fake pain. So somewhere I couldn't take that. It was a big jolt to my personality, if I see it today. And somewhere I actually thought that someday I would sit at that, when that Rorschach's ink block test was happening to me. I said one day I will sit on that side and see. I will try to connect to people, not in this way. Somewhere I'll believe people, and from there I will start the story of the people. So I think that made me really connected to psychology, and I'm really thankful that I got connected to psychology, because otherwise I don't know what I would have been doing all my life, just struggling. So that is like the connection.
So even though it was a bad thing that they weren't believing you, the outcome of their action, despite them being experts, did not fall on your life the way that it was. It made you, it propelled you, it was a catalyst, it pushed you into finding new ways of being believed, of finding new ways of putting the whole story. So over to Nidhika. Nidhika, is bad really
Yes.
bad? Is bad
So
really bad?
So I'm a strong believer in God, and I always feel that no matter how much evil has happened against someone, when God always has the power to turn it into something good if we are willing to look to Him for support. So when my journey, Anu, I have fought clinical depression for 6 years, and coming out of a state of being a vegetable, literally, and being told by the doctors that 15, 20 years and you'll never be able to get out of this state, and coming out and being able to sit on this forum and talk as somebody who's coming from experience and who's helping other people is a huge journey. And I don't think it could have happened without the support from energies that I cannot even explain where they came from. I mean, some may call it God, some may call it universe, some may call it source, but I don't know where that strength came from, where that courage came from, but there was support always. I never felt alone in this entire journey. And what to some people may seem as the worst phase of my life, I feel is a gift given by God to turn me into the person I have become today. I was on a very different track, a corporate career, high flying career, a lot of money, materialistic life. And from that, turning inwards, being spiritual, helping people, talking about emotions is a huge shift in my identity, so to say. And I feel there's an intervention of a higher power there. And that would have not happened. Also, to add to what Sumita said, that when an act is wrong, disassociating the person, I always say that there is a difference between guilt and shame. So guilt is when I've done something wrong. Shame is when I start believing I am wrong. that's where the bigger problem starts. That's when you start believing मैं ही गलत हूँ. And it's like a wound, right? Like wound will, अगर आपको body पे चोट लगी है, वो heal हो जाएगी. तो wound is your, the karma, the guilt that's happened. But the scar that you carry with you is the shame. It represents a shame that you're always carrying, and therefore you're acting from that, so to say, colored glasses in the next in the future life. So that needs to be broken, because God is not judging us. It's not saying this is who you are. Saying, okay, one thing was done, you can always ask for repentance, you can always ask for forgiveness, you can learn your lesson, you can grow from that and help other people with that experience.
Wow, so beautifully said. And I'm just taking the whole flow. And today it's going a little differently. Probably it's supposed to go that way. And differences, I'm not asking all of you the same question and repeating it again. It just seems to be flowing somehow. So my question to Gopu sir is, if God doesn't look at us as right or wrong, he doesn't put, he's constantly supporting us. Like Nidhika said, it could be a source, can be God, but there is something that's holding us together even till that ripe old age, which is not possible for everyone to reach today. So is old age a punishment? Or is death a punishment? Or is it that many other things that are happening in your life that we call bad, dirty, shame, guilt, are these punishments? Or are they just stepping stones to something? Thank you, Gopu sir.
Anu, and all the others on the panel, my take on this is very simple and clear. We discussed about good and bad, and who is to judge whether what is good and what is bad.
Exactly.
According to me, you are not the judge. The judge is the energy or the superpower above us. He is watching everybody. I mean, physically, you cannot watch everyone in this world. There are billions of people in the world. But the point is, there are energies which will show you the way. In fact, what Nidhika said, I'm really, really impressed by what she said, because there was an intervention in her life. So, what do you call that intervention? Do you call it change? Do you call it a God sent gift? What do you call that? So, this is what is energy all about. So, probably the good deeds that she did in a previous Jarma, previous Janam, and she's now reaping. She has turned the corner and she's on the path to, let us say, not salvation, but at least she's on the path to a peaceful life. So this is what is energy. This is what is the superpower I'm talking about. For every person in this world, there is somebody who is guiding you, which is within yourself. How many of you talk to yourself? A lot
All
of
the
people talk to them. I do. Many people do. Am I doing right? Am I doing wrong? Should I do it like this? Should I do it like that? Am I taking the correct decision in this situation? So you keep talking and introspecting to yourself. So it's your conscience and you talking to each other. Okay. So this is what it is. That is the power within you. God has given everybody the same brain, the same kind of heart, the same kind of feelings. It is you who is molding it. It is you who is nurturing it. So as you are passing in every stage of life, from childhood to let's say old age is definitely not a punishment. I have seen umpteen number of healthy, happy, lovely souls who are 85 and 95 and living a lovely life. So old age is not a punishment. Yes, if you have health issues and then if you encounter other problems of family issues, then you could have a tough time. That could be a very rough patch on the road. But definitely, you need to guide yourself in every situation as to where to go. That's what I would
so
comment
beautiful.
on this.
We four people here, all of us who've gone through major issues in life. I know that Gopu sir went through an accident which he may have never survived, but he did. I know Sumita went through pain that was so tough, that her whole childhood, she probably sat in that bed thinking how to get out of that pain and how to be believed. I know Nidika went through stuff that nobody should ever go through, and yet we did endure. I went through child abuse that I should have never gone through. Now, the question is, were these really gifts in our life if they were not punishments? Were these blessings in our life? Or did we turn them into blessings? Was it the past karmas? Was it the actions that we took in this life? So, if Gopu sir, let's start with you. If you can throw some light on this.
Anu, it is a combination of all this. There is past karma, there is a gift, there is a guiding force, there is punishment. So it is like, Kama, Dana, Veda, Danda. This is all four in your life. There is equalness, there is a way which you have to read the Shastra, and there is also, if you do something bad, you will get the dand for that, the punishment for that. So it is the universal law which is happening, which is not written anywhere. It's an unwritten law of nature, which is there. So you have to follow that energy which is there within you. Why do you get depressed? Why do you get into clinical problems? Why do you get into a major state of clinical depression? These are all the thoughts in your brain. There is a zillion thoughts which is running in your brain through the day, every second. So you have to control those thoughts. When you start controlling, and that's why they say meditation helps in that, or yoga helps in this. Yoga and meditation both help in this. So there are solutions for problems. The thing is, you need to identify what is the problem you have and what is the solution for that. So you could seek inner help or you could seek outer help. So there is both available to you. God has given everybody everything. There is nature, there are people, there is rivers, there is peaceful meditation available in the mountain. God has given everything. So it is for you to seek that. This is what I feel.
Wow. It feels more like that we are these energies surrounded by all the tools. And then we are given problem solving, or we are given certain challenges. And we are like those little children, like, if you were, what do you choose? So you just go run. Like, you have this in MasterChef. People run and then they choose the vegetables and they choose what they have to do. There's a broad spectrum given, and then they create what they create. It's as if we are creating what we create from there. So, Sumita, have you ever felt that you're sitting in this big lab or maybe a big field, a play field, where probably we were just put down and with certain few people who would support us, and we were then left loose to do things that, and then we did them, and some we took responsibility, some we didn't, and we got up into this blame game and excuses. What's your experience around it?
So, Anu, at different stages of life, since when I look back and see, or even in the present, challenges. I always have believed that challenges, or definitely my mom motivated me to think that way. I would say, thanks to her. So when it was the first time in my life when I faced illness, so she would always tell me that consider this as a blessing. Don't think that you are being punished. This is a blessing. This is a learning from you. It is up to you how you can take this. So you can face it happily, or you can cry over it. So if you are doing something, whatever situation you get, whatever the time which is without the pain, utilize it the most, so that when you go into that pain stage also, so then you are not really worried about what's not you have done. Do the best what you can do. And she made me go attend a wedding in that situation. She made me, sometimes I used to think why mom is really pushing me to do things I don't want to do because I'm in a bad mood. And she would tell my friends to meet me, or she would send me to meet my friends. And I was like, really, now I understand that what she was doing is actually putting my brain into an action mode. Now when I know the brain structure and how it feels and all those things. So definitely in every challenging situation, the tools are available. Like when I went, I was told that you cannot conceive a baby, and I stood up and I found tools. It could be a time that I would have been just lost and said, no, oh God, what is this? Why me? So only one night I remember I went into that phase. Why me? The next morning I said, why not me? If he has chosen me, probably he had thought about me. So that belief, to keep in always in your life, that there is a plan for you, and that God, whomsoever you believe in, God has a plan for you. It is only we have to act out. So believe in action more than anytime crying or cribbing. So beat any disease, beat any challenging situation, rather than putting the blame on the other people, or putting the blame on God, because that is the most easiest thing for all of us to do. And we are always told that nahi nahi, it's your kismat. किस्मत में यही लिखा है बेटा, ये सहना पड़ेगा. Most of Indian mentality is like that. You have to suffer. I don't understand why are we not telling them, if even if it is a suffering, there is something you can always look at in the worst of the situation also. And we have all done it. When COVID came, and we all found that beautiful tools to connect to people, beautiful ways to meet the essential services. We were doing everything. Everybody found their own way of challenging situation. So I believe that when God gives a situation, he also gives you, like Kopu sir said, everybody has a brain. And I always believe that God has given same brain to everyone. He didn't discriminate. So why are we not using that brain? Now there is food in front of you. Somebody can't feed you. You have to use your hand. That action has to be done by you. Nobody will do that for you. If you feel hungry, do that action. If you don't feel hungry, keep looking at the food, and keep saying that. So that's up to you.
Wow. So beautifully explained, so beautifully molded. I love the way you answered. Thank you, Sumita. Beautiful insights. Over to Nidika. Nidika, I suddenly feel today as if we're sitting on a platform where we are actually chatting, like you said, in conversation. But I don't even feel I'm in conversation. I feel as if I'm sitting with the very warm people who've been through an experience in their life, and as if, we just learning how to water ourselves, how to nourish ourselves, how to put that little soil, that khad and everything over there, and feel complete. So, like Sumita said, that she had her mom, and she didn't like what was being done at that time. Today, with the grace of God and with her own understanding, she understands what's going on. And when you were talking about your dad, it felt as if he was also standing with you many a times like this. Um, are there other people also who have become mini angels and gods in your life who are standing with you? And do you believe that there are angels on this planet Earth? Thank you.
100%. I think, I mean, different stages there were different people. Like, I feel God sends help through, obviously through human beings, right? But in different forms they can come. It can come as a child who just puts a smile on your face when you're having a bad day. It could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend, it could be a sheer acquaintance, it could be a book, that you just pick up, which has the right message for you. And I mean, if I was to name a few people who were really big supporters of me when I was fighting depression, of course my mom and my family was very much there. Dad had passed on, although I feel that dad was there from the other side helping me all throughout till I was able to get back on my feet. But I have friends like Ashish, Joe. There are a couple who came into my life only at that time, who supported me through that journey. Another friend called Faisal who supported me through that journey. Another friend called Bikram who actually introduced me to self-help books. And that completely changed my life, because I had become confined to the four walls of my room. Not even my house, I would say, just my room. I was always in my room, never getting out, never interacting with people. So there's very little people could have done for me. But he introduced me to self-help books, so literally like help came to my doorstep. And as both Gopu sir and what Sumita said, that it's the first level is awareness. Once you have awareness that yes, there's a problem, then you can look for a solution. I personally believe that God gives you the solution or the capability of finding the solution way before He gives you any problem. But I spent 4.5 years in the why me mode, because it was like, I did everything that a child was expected to do, study hard, जिससे बोला शादी कर लिया, सब किया, and still I'm suffering. Why? What did I do to deserve this? So I was always looking for a solution outside of myself. So you can call it blame. You can say, that when we are blaming someone, what we are really saying is that mere paas to koi control nahi hai. I'm giving up my power to this XYZ people who have caused me misery, and now they have the power to fix it, right? But God is all about reclaiming your own power. And through these self-help books, one book at a time, I went through 300 books literally before I found the solution to my problem, which was in 6 words phrase, which said, you hurt, you heal, and you help. And
Yeah.
suddenly there was a mental switch in my mind, which was like I was being the victim of this movie. I'm supposed to be the protagonist. What am I doing? I'm doing a wrong role play. And that switch, like, are mere ko to heroine bana tha. Literally, it was like that. And then it took another year from there to actually get out. But the inspiration came that I'm supposed to use this experience. I'm the chosen one. God has, put favor on me to say that, Nidika, I believe in you. I know you're someone who can fight this. I know you have the resilience to bounce back. And when you do, you can help other people. So I need you to be working for me. And for that, I have to put you through this grind to test that you have it in you to help other people. So, and likewise for Sumita, likewise for Gopusa, likewise for you, Anu. I think we've all been put through that test to ensure that we are light workers or messengers of God, and we can go out and put his message into the world in our own various ways. And I think so for me, that phrase that, you hurt, you heal, you help, is completely changed. I took responsibility for my life. Till then I was giving blame and responsibility to someone else. That day I said, nahi, ye meri zimmewari hai, I have to fix it. And then I left no stone unturned, and whatever I did actually impacted. Before that, therapy was going bouncers. It was, I was going to a therapist 3 times a week, but वो कहाँ जा रहा था पता नहीं. It was गए, थोड़ा 2 घंटे निकल गए और बाहर. But the moment I said no, I have to take the responsibility, everything started getting absorbed. I was looking for solutions, looking for what I could do to help myself, and that's where the whole change of game started. And as they say, when you seek, you shall find. So when you become a seeker, when you take the responsibility, you will find the solutions in any problem on earth.
So well said. That just kind of, I'm sure, has motivated a lot of people, that it's not that you have to go out and get something to inspire you. It can be a small quote, it can be a book that reaches you. It's not about what you reach, it's about what reaches you at that time and what really touches you at that time. It can be a non-living thing. For me, I have this beautiful golden retriever in my life, and someone that I always got scared of, animals. And yet today, I mean, when I'm sad, she'll come and sleep with me. And it reminds me of the emptiness that I had when my kids were not there. She fills that space up million times, million times. And now, in awareness, I can only have gratitude for her. So don't just look out for human beings who will come into your life. It can be a coat that walked into your life. It can be a feather. It can be just maybe even rubbish kept there that might inspire you. So I'm dying to know what inspires Gopusa.
Right now, Anu, I am inspired by Nidika, honestly. The story that she has told so far, I'm honestly I had goosebumps as she was telling that. And really hats off to you, Nidika, what you have come out of and how you handle that situation. I really appreciate it. And hats off to you, salute to you. But thing is that you will find 100 Nidikas in your life as you go along. As in your path, in your journey, you will find many, many, many people who will inspire you. There are many people who will come into your life, who will inspire you and go away. They will just be there briefly. They will inspire you. They'll motivate you. They'll charge you up, and they'll go away as they came into Nidika's life at that point of time, at that juncture. So this is what life is all about. This is what the identity of our life. Why do people come into your life? There is a purpose. There is a sole purpose for anybody coming into your life. I feel that Anu has come into my life with a purpose. So has Sumita, or today I have met and seen Nidika. So like that, so many people will come into your life. So many lovely souls who will come, inspire you, motivate you, talk to you, help you in every which way they can. So that is what this life is all about. So you got to take it as it comes and be with the flow. There is nothing called giving up. You know, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what you need to look out for.
So beautiful, so beautiful. I was reading somewhere Bruce Lipton talking about the stages of a butterfly growing, and how at every stage, the butterfly, whether it's in a pupa form, whether it's a caterpillar, whatever stage it is, it's before cells that it uses to transform itself into something new. And before it becomes into the beautiful butterfly, throughout those stages, just like our stages of life, everywhere there is darkness before it sees the light. Darkness before it sees the light, because even when we were getting born on this earth, there was pull and push going on in our mom's body, and we were trying and struggling to come out, and that struggle was required for our lungs to breathe properly. It was a blessing. That struggle was not a punishment. It that darkness was there so that you could see the light and make use of the light. We just didn't understand it. That's all it was. So over to Sumita. Sumita, what inspires you? What inspires you to go on? And you've been with us for almost 29 days today. And
Yes.
everybody else came and went, but you've been there consistently. And at the time when I didn't have anyone, you've just gone on and said, I'll do this. I'll do this. And that helps. It felt as if there was someone else who was as enthusiastic. I have to acknowledge Gopu sir here, the only man who has sat down and spoken here, representing the whole population. I asked so many men to come, they were busy. And I would acknowledge here Manish who came, as we had Siddharth who came, but nobody was consistently there because something else was a priority. So deep acknowledgement. And Nidika, despite all her busy schedule, is here today. So what inspires you, Sumita? What made you go on for these 29 days? And hopefully we'll complete a month tomorrow with God's grace and with all of you being there. 30 days to keep doing this without having any agenda in mind, without a thought pattern 1 minute before. I have no sketch, no paper, no plan. I'm just pacing you guys. I really want to know, Sumita, what made you go on?
So the inspiration definitely is your, presence, I would say, because you have played a very important role in my life. You have been my mentor and guide, and I've learned a lot from you. And I've always believed that, like yesterday you were saying that, when you do consistently something, you actually practice it, and practice makes a man perfect. So I believe in consistency of doing anything, because I believe, somewhere it has a purpose. So if this has, I take it as an opportunity. And if an opportunity has come to you, so, for my work also, for my professional, even for my personal, I have somewhere learned to say not to say no to some, opportunity coming in, because I believe that, I do say no to something which is not there. Absolutely, it's not, possible for me. And I think I've told you also a day or two, this is like, I'll come off for this much time and I'll go, kind of a thing. But somewhere I believe that consistency is the key to somewhere where you want to achieve something. And there may be a break or something, but then I believe in doing it consistently. So that is the motivation that I give it to myself as a challenge. Maybe this Facebook challenge was started for somebody else, but I
Yes.
give it to myself. So I took it like that way, that I will do it the max I can do. And if it is not possible a day, it's okay, I'll give it a break. But somehow connecting to people is something I really like to do. And because of this situation of COVID, a lot of us are not able to connect to many people. So I for me, this is like a good connecting to other people and knowing other people's and learning a lot. And learning from any ways is always good. So that's my inspiration.
Thank you so much, Sumita. I was reading again somewhere that if you want to sharpen your brain and you want to really keep it nice and healthy, then every day you must do something new. And this is also an attempt of talking on subjects that we've never researched, we never spoke. But do you really need a research because you're living life? And we were picking up topics from life. So I would say when I'm talking to you guys, let's talk about inspiration tomorrow, because that seems to be getting highlighted over here. And let's talk about just inspirations. That's it. Okay, so and tomorrow it can be at 4 o'clock. I'm absolutely free at 4, and we could go back to 4 o'clock rather than 6. So again, I request the panelists, if Nidika, you're free and you can be there, please do. And if you can't, I understand. And so with Sumita, so with Gopu sir, and I will definitely send the message to all others who really would like to be part of this. So I would like to conclude the session here. I felt, I felt today as if the little Buddha in me got up, because the little Buddha in me was looking at the 5 stages and looking at only pain there. When I began the talk, it felt as if each stage was, how do you say, soaked with pain, with something that wasn't going okay. And you have been so beautiful, all 3 of you, that it suddenly felt that every stage is not just pain, it's a blessing. It just felt as if this today's show just organically ran because the energies were so right here. And it had to, because it's all about the flow of energy. It's not about you and me, it's not about the stages, it's about the river that flows. It's about the air that you cannot see, even though it's invisible, like the pain in us, like the happiness in us. It still is palpable. You can actually feel it, but you can't see it. So, why are we trying to make more meaning than it is? And with that, I will ask Nidika to say the last words and conclude the session today before we go to the other 2 guests. Yes, Nidika.
I just want to say, Anu, it was brilliant. I didn't know what to expect when you asked me to join in today, but I think it's the most profound conversation, panel discussion, whatever you want to call it, I've had in years, because it came straight from the heart. And I love the fact nobody knew what we were going to talk about, because then the real talk comes out. There's no preparation, nobody's trying to sound in a certain way. It's just coming from experience. And it was so genuine and so heartwarming. And I learned a lot. I mean, I was taking notes throughout. I learned a lot for myself from Gopu sir, also from Sumita, also from you, also Anu, because it's always nice to know what other people in your fraternity are thinking, what's their mindset like. And there is so much to learn here. So thank you so much for having me. I am ever so grateful that you called me on your lovely platform. Thank you, Anu.
Thank you, Nitika. It's such a blessing to have you here. You always bring a smile on my face. I've always looked at you and said, wow, brilliant. So let's go over to Sumita. Ask her what were the last words today for this discussion.
So to end, I would say some quote. I just was just going through and I just read. So the same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. So life is a boiling water for all of us. We go through that stage of water every time in our life. So it is how you see that situation. Either it can be, it sometimes it softens you, sometimes it's hardening you, but you take it and you keep moving ahead. Keep walking, keep going through the stage, and just enjoy every milestone and enjoy connect to every identity what you go through in each area, and not regret it, just enjoy it. So that's it.
How beautiful. I mean, what more can I ask for? I'm truly blessed today. Yes, Gopu sir.
Yeah, it has been a lovely session today. Um, Let me tell you that there is the so, more of the radiance and enthusiasm I felt from Nidika, honestly. Uh, spontaneity, when you're spontaneous in discussing something, that's what results in brilliance. So when something is talked without any agenda, without any notes, without any preparation, that's when you enter into a sphere where the entire discussion or talk becomes an excellent one. That I
Yeah,
believe in. Yeah,
because we
because
are here.
everybody talks from the heart and without any notes in front of them. So every day, every topic that you bring about Anu, really so amazing. I feel sometimes very guilty not to come on board on some days, but I think I have managed to wherever and whenever possible to jump onto the event and the show that you are lovely, such a lovely experience of 29 days, out of which probably I was part of it for one third of that. But it's amazing. The topics that come out from the previous day, they become the topic for the next day. I think that concept of yours is simply lovely. And
Thank you, Gopu sir, for acknowledging.
really enjoyed being with the panel today. Thank you.
सर आज एक गाना सुना दें, बनता है?
अच्छा गाना बनता है तो
हाँ,
एक तो आज तो थोड़ा सा मूड बनाना पड़ेगा क्योंकि we went through so many emotions today. जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसी ने जाना। जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसी ने न जाना।
वैसे निधि का
That's what.
पता है, एक लाइन सुना दें तो बहुत मजा आ जाए आज.
मैं गाऊं? Oh man.
जब हम बैठ के गुफ्तगू कर रहे थे.
Why not?
बहुत
Oh God. Okay, so on the note of your talk tomorrow, in terms of inspiration, I will sing a line for you, Anu. लिए सपने निगाहों में चला हूँ तेरी राहों में, लिए सपने निगाहों में चला हूँ तेरी राहों में, जिंदगी आ रहा हूँ मैं. There you go.
सुमिता, आप गाना गाती हैं?
नहीं
तो
जी.
Very nice.
नहीं जी.
Super.
आप आज ही मेरी कंसिस्टेंसी की प्रेस कर रहे थे. सो लेट मी बी कंसिस्टेंट.
मैं ज्यादा पुश नहीं करूंगी, नहीं तो पता लगेगा मेरा स्पीकर कर उड़. See you all, love you
Thank you.
all. If you
Thank you.
you can
Lots
Facebook,
of
or you can go on the YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube and go back and listen. और एक राज की बात बता दूं, ये ऐसे क्यों रखा है कि we don't tell anyone anything and we don't prepare, ताकि आप एक दूसरे की बात सुने. हमने सुनना तो है, हम इतनी प्रेपरेशन में लग गए हैं ना कहीं कि we are only talking our stuff and we want others to hear only us. सुनना तभी होता है जब आप अनप्लान्ड जाते हैं. So we are all alert, hearing each other. सो नहीं सकते. That's the whole idea.
awesome. Lovely.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Lots of love
Thank
to
you.
everyone. Bye bye.